Now that's kind of our review of 2023, but there is still one big show left in the calendar year, December 23rd, out in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Before we talk about the heavyweight fights on the show, because you are somewhat of a heavyweight expert, I just want to ask you, how do you feel about the kind of shift in the power of boxing from Las Vegas and places like that to now Saudi? It seems like the majority of big fights happen in that region now.
I think it's good. I think it's good for boxing. Obviously, there's nothing like an atmosphere like what's in the UK for boxing. Like Wembley or whatever in London or where they fight, and the crowds there are on another level. So because it's England and you get two fighters from England fighting for world titles. I don't think that can be topped as far as that's concerned, but everything revolves and everything moves forward. So why not Saudi? They seem to love the boxing out there. They seem to be doing a good job with it, and look, they're putting good cards on. And this is a good card. Nobody can say anything different.
Have you been over there for a show yet?
Yeah, I went over in 2019. Hughie boxed Samuel Peter over there.
Oh, of course, yeah, I remember.
It was Jeddah, somewhere out there. Yeah. So yeah.
Does it look like it's come a long way since then?
It's come a long way since then. Of course it has, and I think it's just going to get better and better in Saudi. I think that's my opinion. I think it's good for boxing, and they want good fights on out there.
And it's a huge show, December 23rd. It'll take you through the three main heavyweight fights. You've got Daniel Dubois coming off his world title shot against Alexander Usyk, going back in what looks on paper like quite a tough test against Big Baby Miller. I know people have got different views on whether he should be fighting or not with his checkered history. But in the ring, he does look to be a solid test. What do you make of that Dubois-Miller fight?
I think it's a solid test. I do. There's one thing. The advantages that Dubois got is Miller can be it. Yeah, he's gonna stand in front of him and he's gonna bring it to him. So can Miller take Dubois' power, because Dubois can punch. He's heavier to himself. So I think that's the key. If he can take the power, and then obviously you got to slide in Miller's favour. So it is. That's a 50-50 fight, and that's the reason I'll call it a 50-50, because can Jarrell stand up to what Daniel Dubois can give out? If he can, then you'd have to favour Miller in it.
And then you look at the top two fights. There's apparently now been a deal in principle signed for Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder to face off in March if they both come through, which is a big if, looking at who they're fighting, particularly in my view in Joshua's case, but we'll talk about him last. Deontay Wilder's going up against Joseph Parker, who's, now with Andy Lee, looking like he's added some extra facets to his game. Wilder's been out a long time as well, but he's always going to have that big equaliser, that big power. How do you weigh that one up?
It's a good fight. Again, it wouldn't surprise me if who came out on top of that. Wilder's got a lot of holes in his game, a lot, but he can punch. And Wilder will be looking at great confidence from the fight that Parker's had with Joe Joyce.
Mm.
So he'll be looking at that and thinking, when I land, I land. So he'll be looking at that. So, and Parker's got good boxing skills. He can punch as well, and if he can get his shots off, sure, he's a big heavyweight. So again, that's I'd say 60-40 to Wilder because of the power ratios thing of it, but it's still a good fight, and it wouldn't surprise me if Parker could pull that off. So it's not even 60-40, I'd say, but Parker's in with a good chance of it if he can avoid that big right, left hook, whatever what he's got.
Yeah, easier said than done, I think. But
easier said than done in his 12 rounds. Yeah, Wilder's a big explosive unit, and he can hit. Who else? Joshua Walling. Yeah, it's a decent fight. It's an awkward kind of thing because of the southpaw situation. But I think again 60-40. So they're both in similar type fights. I don't know why they didn't face each other off straight away and get it on, to be honest. So
Yeah, I think maybe I'm not sure really. I think Joshua maybe hasn't looked great recently, so and also he's going to be working with a different trainer for this fight. Wilder hasn't been in the ring for ages, so maybe he doesn't want to go straight back in with Joshua. But yeah, I mean, who do you think's taking the bigger risk out of those two on this show next week?
Same. That's why I say 60-40. They both should come on. They both should come out of these fights on top. It's a calculated risk, and looking at that, then they should come out where both victorious on it. But yeah, it'll be a good fight between the two of them. It needs to happen. It's long overdue.
We'll talk about that possible March fight in a minute. I just said there, Joshua's changed trainer for this one. He's going to be working with Ben Davison. They're only going to have about 6 weeks together, I think, before the Valiant fight. But this is Joshua's second trainer just as this year. Obviously, he moved a couple of times before that as well. What do you think about that, a fighter changing trainers as often as Joshua is?
Well, it's just the uncertainty, and it's just not happening the way he wants it to happen when he gets in there. So that's the only thing it can be. You know, it's always looking for that extra edge and whatever any what somebody can bring. But out of all the trainers Joshua's had, there's something which has always remained the same. So let's see if that's changed on next week.
Now, before we talk about Joshua Wilder, outside of the current champions in the division and your own son, Hughie, of course, because you couldn't be completely unbiased on that one, who do you rate as the best heavyweight at the moment, the best of the contenders?
It's hard to rate any of them because they've all run away from each other. So let's get it on. Let's get it on. Look, and you're on about my son there, like I just said to you. If he fails, he can go and get a job as a taxi driver. Look, let's just be real here. He's coming back and he's going to fight anybody. I'm going to see how good he is because they ain't going to pitter-patter around. He's had issues outside of the ring, but he's back. So let's just see who the best is. And you can't say who the best is until they've actually boxed each other. Styles make fights, let's not forget. And we've seen a lot of upsets over the years. So, we've seen Andy Ruiz with Joshua. We've seen quite a few upsets even in the lighter weights. So you just can't say until you get in there because it's what's in that fighter's mind as well. If that the fighter's got that steel determination, and he ticks all the boxes and he's ready and focused, that type of fighter takes some beating.
And then in March, if they both come through, as you've said, they're both 60-40 to win next week. Joshua and Wilder will hopefully go at it. Yeah, what do you make of that fight? Because it's one that's been talked about for years. Joshua probably was the favourite 3 or 4 years ago. Now it looks very different.
I think I don't know what I think. Listen, best of luck to them, and I hope they all do well. I'm sure they're all nice people. It's all right. We're all armchair people sitting back having a look at this, but I wish them all the best. Wilder, whoever it is, they all come across. I'm sure they're all God-fearing people as well, and that's not appreciate where they are. That's appreciate what they've done in the sport already. They've done very well, all of them. So let's give them the recognition they deserve. This is all I'm doing now is trying to break things down where we are. So nothing's personal towards anybody. I wish everybody the best. It's just a pity in boxing that they can't all be winners. So one's got to come unstuck somewhere.
Well, I suppose it could be a draw, but
yeah, keep giving them a draw.
They both hit very hard, so I'm not sure it will go the distance.
That's true, but no. At least we're in to see some good fights. That's the thing. So that's the interesting thing. We're seeing good competition.
Do you have a pick for Joshua Wilder if it happens?
You've got to say basically who lands first, and that's it. It's definitely one to watch because it is a 50-50 with both of them different attributes. So which one's gonna land first, because they both hit, and if they can get clean any which one, it's over. So it's who's got the best game plans on the night and how they gel together. So this is what I think. Well, I can predict a cagey affair. I don't think it's going to be a slugfest, that's for sure.
Okay. That's an interesting one, because I think a lot of people are kind of selling it on the basis of it being this explosive, both going for the knockout kind of fight, but you think it'll be more of a chess match?
Yeah, dude. At this kind of level, definitely. And Wilder will be trying to improve on his boxing as well, and Joshua's obviously working on some flaws he feels he has. So that's it. So I don't see no toe-to-toe war going on there.
Good stuff. Peter, really, really appreciate your time all year, not just in this interview. It's always a pleasure talking to you, very insightful.